All right, it's Emi Boz's turn on the microphone. Woo! Please tell us some humorous jokes, please.
He wasn't kidding. I know. Usually I get stronger when I drink. I'm like, so I'm always scared about holding the microphone after a lot of other people because I'm a germaphobe. So when I see comedians getting all excited and their mouths all close, I'm like, when I'm like holding it, but it has to be close enough that you can hear me talk. Been watching a lot of cartoons lately. How many people watch cartoons? They're just better than real shows. But watching all the cartoons, it makes me think way too hard. Like I've been watching Scooby-Doo. Lately they rebooted Scooby-Doo. And I'm always really concerned with the villain. I always wonder what's going on in his life before he decides to be the villain, the ghost. And I'm always wondering, like, if he ever has friends over his house, and they're like, Greg, you haven't been to work in, like, 2 weeks. And he's, like, all sweaty and tired, and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, okay. Listen, my wife left me. She took the kids, but it's worth it. Remember that conversation we had about all the gold being buried under that theme park? And, like, his friend's like, wait, like, that was like 2 months ago. We're just messing with you guys. And he's like, no. I think there's gold. There's this old couple that runs it. And I've been haunting the shit out of this theme park. It's been going really well. And they're like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, well, come down. This is why Sally left me. Come here. And he like shows him his basement, and it's like this elaborate thing. He's got this like glowing, floating ghost costume, and he's like, look, I wear this. I float around, I scream. The old people are like, we're gonna sell it. And he's like, and then I'm gonna get that gold. And he's like, and they're like, Greg, don't you have student loans? Like, how did you? And he's like, no, listen, it's cool. I took out a second mortgage on my house. So I'm really eyeballing debt here, but it's going to pay off when I find that gold. And he's like, but things have turned sour because there's these like kids, these teenage kids that show up with their dog. And they were like, the old couple was like this close to selling, but I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to keep haunting the shit out of this place. These kids are just passing through. I'm sure it's not going to be a problem. And then when he gets inevitably caught in like a net or some ridiculous shit, they always want to tell their elaborate plan to these kids without the cops being there. They're like tied up, and they're all like pissed off. And he's like, guess what? This is how I fucking did it. And I'm like, Greg, Jesus, don't, like, plead the fifth, motherfucker. Lawyer up, Greg. Lawyer up. What are you doing? You don't have to tell them. You don't have to tell them anything. And he's like, well, and fuck the gold. And he just found out his, like, friends are fucking with him. He's in, like, jail doing, like, pull-ups. And it says, like, can't say Scooby-Doo because that's too long for this hand, but it says, like, Ruby-Roo because that's how the fucking dog says. And he's like, he's gonna get out, and, like, the dog dies while he's in jail anyways because the dog's only I don't even know how long you go to jail for that kind of shit, honestly. Does that even, I don't know. But, so don't haunt, things that are going to be teared down to make, like, mini malls anyway. It's probably, like, the old people's intention. They're just holding out. But, yeah. And also Batman. That's my transition. Hold with me. We're staying with the cartoon theme because, like I said, I watch too much cartoons. Do you think that Bruce Wayne ever fucks up and calls like a restaurant to make a reservation? and he wants to impress some businesswoman that he's going to do later or something, but he like calls and makes it for Batman but shows up as Bruce Wayne. And like he strolls up with the woman and they're like, Batman, party of two, and he's like, fuck. He's like, I did this last week when I met the Joker, but I was dressed as Bruce Wayne, and he was like, what the fuck? And he's all like cracked out, so you won't remember anyway. So that's the Batman. Speaking of bats, Catwoman, cats. Is anybody into cats? Oh yeah, I'm not alone, 4 cats. That's one away from being crazy, I hear. Working on that. Got that to look forward to when I die. Or after. I don't know. But, so as a cat connoisseur, I like to call myself since it's 4 different cats, they're different in my heart. I think they're all the same breed, though. I buy a lot of cat litter, as you can imagine. And if anybody buys cat litter, there's this brand called Fresh Step. Woo! Yeah! That's my girl. And there's this little happy cat that's like this yellow tabby in the front like this. And its name, if you guys were wondering, is Mittens. And the Fresh Step logo, or the slogan is Fresh Step, your cats will wonder where their litter box is. Saying that it's that fresh that you're not going to smell your cat's taking a dump. But I want a cat on the front of my box. We know Mittens isn't taking shits, or if he is, they're very little. They're very flowery shits, so you're not going to smell them anyways. So Fresh Step, I think, is false advertising. But I want a cat that's gnarly looking, like really messed up looking, like maybe missing a little bit of an ear, and his name's Mr. Stinkbutt on the front of the thing. And then instead of saying like your cat's gonna wonder where his litter box is, it says something like, take a sniff on the wild side. Like you trust it. Like you're that confident. You're like, my cat is gonna shit and I'm not gonna smell it. Look at him. He's missing like a paw and his asshole's been leaking for 2 years. So, sorry. None of my cat's assholes are leaking. Yeah, I know. So I found out some interesting news. A relative of mine, I'm gonna leave it at that. It was a great relative. But did you guys know it was really easy to get away with murder? And I'm not talking like 1800s. I'm talking like 1930s. I had a great relative kill his neighbor. And it wasn't like he was doing something epic, saving the day, like this neighbor was a bad person or like touching children or something. His neighbor was like putting wood on his lawn, on his property. So you're like, okay, well he must have done it, he must have planned it out, and like stealthily went into it at night, like, been like, I'm gonna kill Jeremiah for fucking putting his wood on my property. But it was in the middle of the day, and it was with a hand axe to the face on the guy's front yard. This is real. Just axed him. He was like, Jeremiah, can I talk to you? And he's like, what's up? And he's like, oh, and you're thinking, well, great relative, you must have went to jail or served some kind of time. And it's like, no. He just moved. That's what I had to do. He packed up his 13 children and was like, we gotta move. And you're like, okay, he must have moved across, the country. He was in California. And it's like, no, he was in Virginia. And you're like, oh. So you just had to move 4 hours. And then when the cops show up, even if they did show up back then, they'd be like, excuse me, is your name Ezekiel? And he's like, no. Oh, sorry, we're looking for Ezekiel. That's how easy it was to get away with murder in the 1930s. Can't do that shit now, though. So, that's that. Yeah, I've thought about murder a lot, but I'm pretty sure I'd leave some kind of clumsy evidence, like my hair. Like I'd be perfect, and they'd be like, "We found one pink hair." And I'd be like, "Fuck." So, speaking of pink hair, unicorns have pink hair. Depending on which picture you're looking at. Sometimes it's rainbow, but I always used to fantasize as a child why unicorns weren't real. I used to think, that's not fair. There's all these kind of great animals. There's no unicorns. And I was brought up religious, so I was taught that the ark was the thing, how everybody, got to, and that's cool, if that's what you like. But, I always used to think, well, if that was the case, they're like horses, so they could have fit. They probably were on there. And I pictured, like, the scenario in my head, like, Noah's walking down, like, it's already raining, everybody's already dead, and there's all the things on the ark. And there's 2 unicorns, and they're, like, hanging out all pretty. And he's got a checklist, and Noah looks at the unicorns, and he's like, Steve? And Steve's like, yep. And he checks it off, and then he looks at the other one, and he's like, Chris? And it's like, yep. And he checks it off, and the other unicorn's like, is Chris short for Christy? And he's like, no. I blame that, like, and, Noah's like, fuck. Unicorns. I'll just glue a horn or a pine cone on one of these fuckers' heads and we get off and it'll be fine. So, that is that. That is my set. I think that was 5 minutes.